Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolitz. Hoping that you will not skip my ads. It's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
Victor Quinn's attack had just made Leonard Hunter feel a sense of oppression that was infinitely close to death. If Quinn had wanted, he could have easily killed Leonard Hunter at that moment.
Is this the strength of the one ranked first on the Zora Genius list? Victor Quinn, step aside. This is a grudge between Zane Martel and me. Don't you interfere.
Most people had left, leaving only a few onlookers. The men of the Wormhaven Palace heavily guarded the surroundings, but the preliminary was already over. The guards did not care much about the grudges between them.
Zane Martel is my friend. Are you going against my friend? Think about it first and see if you're strong enough. If you block our way, it's fine. I can kill you here.
Victor Quinn's tone was devoid of emotion, starkly contrasting his usual friendly demeanor. Leonard Hunter's expression changed dramatically. At that moment, Ethan Reed stepped forward.
Leonard Hunter, Victor Quinn can protect Zane Martel for a while, but he can't protect him forever. Let's wait until the actual selection of the Dragon Envoy of Kangmu to kill him. For now, you don't have to make things difficult by provoking Victor Quinn over a mere Zane Martel.
Fear lingered in their eyes. Although their realm was higher than Victor Quinn's, his power was most likely 3 or 4 times greater. A direct confrontation would yield no advantage.
Humph. Zane Martel, you are lucky. You will die the next time we meet. Ethan Reed, let's leave now.
The two snorted and turned away, disappearing instantly. Zane Martel watched them go, his mind racing.
With my current strength, I have a 50% chance of defeating Leonard Hunter. I might barely kill him if I use all my trump cards and methods. After all, he's a genius ranked on the Zora Genius list, not a demonic beast in the Devil Demon formation.
Zane Martel's expression turned solemn. He looked at Victor Quinn, hesitating.
Quinn, what move did you use just now?
Victor Quinn's expression softened, transforming back into the kind, chubby man they knew. His eyes curved, and a cunning smile spread across his face.
Do you want to know? Follow me. Maybe you can learn this method.
With a knowing grin, Victor Quinn soared into the sky, heading in a specific direction. Zane Martel hesitated, the allure of the power of nature too strong to resist. Zane Martel gritted his teeth, stomped his feet, and immediately followed Victor Quinn. Half a day later, they arrived above Wanling Mountain, a mountain range in the Star Kingdom. The middle of Wanling Mountain was hollowed out, resembling a giant chimney when viewed from above. They slowly descended from the top, reaching the bottom where a stone door stood. 2 sentences were carved on both sides of the stone gate.
Ushering in wealth and prosperity, make Quinn rich man.
Zane Martel was startled, recognizing Victor Quinn's handiwork.
Quinn, what place is this?
Victor Quinn stopped hiding and answered bluntly this time.
Here. I discovered this place by accident. It's now my cave mansion.
Cave mansion?
Victor Quinn pushed open the stone door, revealing an interior resembling an ordinary house with tables, chairs, doors, and windows. The edges of the stone walls bore clear traces of swords being chiseled, indicating Victor Quinn's effort in carving this home. Stepping inside, Zane Martel noticed the house spanned about 200 to 300 meters wide. The first area was a living hall, with a passage behind it leading to an unknown destination.
Come on, take a seat. I'll find us some good tea leaves.
Victor Quinn invited Zane Martel warmly, then fetched some tea leaves and brewed them in hot water. Once the tea was infused, he poured Zane Martel a cup. Zane Martel had too many questions for Victor Quinn. He wondered about the techniques for merging the power of nature and was curious about Victor Quinn's character. Given Victor Quinn's strength, he should have no shortage of crystals, resources, a great house, expensive clothes, and top-quality food and drinks. Yet he chose to live in this dark cave and dress in rags. Even the tea leaves he served were crushed, making the tea bitter instead of aromatic.
Well, what good tea. It's thirst-quenching.
Zane Martel was amused. Instead of looking down on Victor Quinn, his curiosity about him grew.
Quinn, the place you mentioned to me, were you referring to your cave mansion?
Of course, but I didn't bring you here only for a house tour. I guess you're curious about my technique of merging the power of nature, right? Do you want to learn it?
Zane Martel felt like he had been struck by thunder. Who wouldn't want to learn such a powerful and terrifying technique? He had previously learned that the power of nature was the expression of the will of nature, making it extremely powerful. At present, The power of nature they comprehended was 1,000th, 1/10,000th. The power of nature was also mutually exclusive. Although a person could simultaneously comprehend many different powers of nature, they could never merge them. An explosion would occur, endangering one's life. Zane Martel had read tens of thousands of books, but none mentioned merging the powers of nature, until he met Victor Quinn. This merging technique was likely more precious than a heaven-ranked martial arts technique. How could Zane Martel not want to learn it? But there was no free lunch. He knew there must be conditions.
Of course I want to learn it. But what's the condition?
Zane Martel did his best to stay calm. Victor Quinn got straight to the point.
It's simple. You help me repair my willpower energy and I'll tell you the technique.
Willpower energy? What's that?
Zane Martel was confused. Victor Quinn seemed equally surprised by Zane Martel's question.
Don't you know? You are a willpower mutant, but you don't know about this?
Seeing Zane Martel's clueless expression, Victor Quinn sighed and explained.
Willpower energy embodies your willpower. Forget it, I'll show you the formula and you'll understand.
Quinn told him a few obscure incantations, which Zane Martel instantly memorized. He closed his eyes and quietly recited the incantations. The vital energy within his body began to circulate in a certain trajectory. Suddenly, Zane Martel noticed 8 fist-sized pale blue light clusters floating in his mind. The balls of light were surrounded by thin auras, which were willpower. He was shocked. This was the first time he had seen willpower energy in his body.
This is incredible. How is this possible?
Zane Martel knew something had changed within him. He felt it deep inside, a mutation of his willpower.
8 clusters of willpower energy. But Victor Quinn thinks I have only 2.
He remembered Victor Quinn's words, the voice still ringing in his ears.
You should have seen them, right? 2 light blue willpower energy clusters in your conscience. That's the characteristic of willpower mutation. Mine split into 3.
Victor Quinn had said it so casually, but Zane Martel knew better. He couldn't tell Victor Quinn the truth. If he knew about the 8 clusters, he would be terrified.
The more clusters, the stronger willpower. This is my secret advantage. What do you mean you want me to help you repair them?
Victor Quinn's optimistic smile faltered. He sighed, the weight of his troubles evident.
It's a long story, but you'll understand if you see it for yourself. I'll give you access to my willpower space.
Zane Martel hesitated for a moment before releasing a wisp of his own willpower, guiding it towards the space between Victor Quinn's eyebrows. The willpower space in one's conscience was sacred and personal. To force entry could cause irreparable harm, but Victor Quinn had willingly opened his to Zane Martel. 3 light blue clusters floated in the dusky void. 2 were pristine, almost flawless. The third, however, was different.
What happened to the 3rd cluster?
The 3rd cluster was marred with spiderweb cracks, flickering weakly, as if it could vanish at any moment.
This is bad. What caused this?
The reasons could be many. A willpower mutation, a mishap during cultivation. But one thing was clear, the situation was dire. Zane Martel's mind raced with possibilities. He knew the danger Victor Quinn was in, but the exact cause was still a mystery. And the more he thought about it, the more questions arose. As he pondered, a new unsettled thought crept into his mind. If this could happen to Victor Quinn, could it happen to him too? The air in the room grew heavier, tension mounting with every passing second. Zane Martel's heart pounded in his chest, the weight of the unknown pressing down on him.
I need to find out more. First, I have to help Victor Quinn.
With a deep breath, Zane Martel steeled himself. He knew the journey ahead would be challenging, but he had to press on.
How should I help you?
Zane Martel withdrew his willpower and asked directly,
Are you willing to help me? That's great, Zane Martel. As long as you help me repair my willpower energy, I guarantee that I will tell you the technique of merging the power of nature.
Zane Martel's interest was piqued. The merging of the power of nature was a rare and powerful technique.
Don't worry, I created this technique. There might be other people out there who know it, but there aren't many of them. As soon as you learn it, Leonard Hunter and others at his level could never defeat you.
Zane Martel was greatly tempted. He guessed that Victor Quinn had relied on this technique to suppress Mr. Griffin and others for many years, despite being at the peak of the 2nd stage in the expert level. But he was also very surprised to learn that Victor Quinn invented this technique alone. If his claim were valid, then he was a rare, peerless cultivation genius. One day later, Zane Martel finally mastered the methods. The principle of repair was very simple. It was to use the willpower created by Zane Martel's mutation to turn it into a needle and thread to replenish Victor Quinn's willpower energy ball. He had to repair all the cracks. Right then, Zane Martel sat cross-legged in front of Victor Quinn. They closed their eyes and released streams of their willpower. A wisp of willpower, as delicate as silk, flew out from the middle of Zane Martel's eyebrows and drilled into the space between Victor Quinn's eyebrows, returning to that dusky willpower space. Zane Martel's willpower landed on Victor Quinn's willpower energy. Suddenly, it shook and transformed into a sharp and long silver needle. Behind the silver needle was a long line that was light and looming.
Quinn, I'm about to start. Hold on.
Sure, come on, I will endure it.
Under Zane Martel's control, the silver needle went down, directly piercing into the willpower energy covered in cracks. Instantly, Victor Quinn felt a sharp pain in his heart. It was like an incomparably sharp and lethal conical was constantly stirring in his mind. Like big worms, they gnawed at his brain continuously. Almost immediately, Victor Quinn's teeth creaked, and all the muscles in his body suddenly tensed up. His face turned pale. Seeing this, Zane Martel could not help it either. He could only try his best not to make any mistakes. The needle and thread formed by his willpower passed through the shabby willpower energy in numerous cracks. The needle and thread entered the willpower energy and soon pierced through the other side of the crack, repairing it. After taking a few breaths, Zane Martel was able to repair the first crack. But he couldn't let down his guard yet because this willpower energy cluster had hundreds of cracks. Zane Martel felt a chill down his spine when he pictured his brain pierced by a sharp light. He held his breath and continued repairing the cracks. Every time the needle and thread pierced through, the willpower energy would tremble violently and flicker. Then, Victor Quinn would quickly stabilize it. After some time, nearly half of the cracks were repaired by Zane Martel. However, Victor Quinn seemed to be in bad shape. Not only was his face pale, but his face was also bruised, and his body shivered. To endure the intense pain in his mind, he clenched his fists and pierced his sharp nails into his palms. As a result, blood kept pouring out and soaked his sleeves. However, he didn't notice it at all.
Quinn, do you want to continue? Should we rest for a while before we continue?
Zane Martel was a little concerned, but Victor Quinn refused firmly.
No, we must do this in one go, or we will only put ourselves into more trouble if we take breaks in between. Zane Martel, don't worry about me. Just continue. I can handle it.
He gritted his teeth and sucked in a deep breath. Seeing this, although Zane Martel felt uneasy, he had no choice but to keep repairing.